Ours was good. Ours was really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody
spoke.
Yep, and we like ended like right on time. Yeah, considering we started late because that was the day there was like weird, like 4 people out of the 10 didn't come because there was something weird happening here.
Yes.
So
So this, yours was the adults one, the
Yeah.
one that you two, okay, just looking at my notes here. So what were the biggest sort of takeaways that you got from that one?
well, we had kind of an interesting mix of folks. So we did get a lot of feedback. We had one person who formerly worked here as well.
Who formerly worked here?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So she had a lot of opinions. I
know,
one or two.
just started.
They were, I mean, they were valid from her point of view, right? But, so we had like an interesting smattering. I think the crux of it all was like, everybody views this as like a community hub. You know, they want to see more accessibility because they were like, there's like not good coverage across groups for like different times and offerings. So they're, you know, one had kids but worked. So she's like, I love all the kids stuff. And when I didn't work, it was great. But now that I do work, I can't really take him to anything. And then we had the guy here who runs the Seniors Connect, and he was like, we have sort of the opposite problem sometimes where it's like, and I was like, okay.
And we had a few seniors connect that came to the one that Christine
Yeah.
did too.
Yeah, so I was like, okay, so we got kind of like a really interesting mix. I know you took really good notes, so you have like it all noted down. But
But it was a good mix because we had the mom,
with the
we
mom,
had a gentleman who
yeah,
was married but worked all day, and so getting to programs was harder because of the time frame.
yeah, but I think no kids, but he
But
was
no
like the,
kids.
he was the history guy.
Yes.
He's like, I love book clubs and like history and like niche, like if they had a ham radio presenter, like I would come to that, you know, like. I think one good takeaway that I like too is like having more community folks like come in and share like special interest kind of things. They're like, if there's a community member who's like hobby is ham radios, that'd be so cool and it would involve the community versus like sourcing out to like other people. And I was like, that's an interesting idea. Uh, almost everybody wanted cafe. That was a predominant feature.
Some form of coffee
Hmm.
and some form of
Mhm.
gathering, a place to gather, have coffee
Yeah.
and just,
Yeah.
you know, bribe their grandchildren with a muffin.
Yeah, have something like a treat on the way out, have something that they can eat and drink while they're here, you know, they're.
In the ones that I did, like, it seemed like people didn't care that much about having a full service cafe, but they wanted
Right.
coffee. They wanted, you know, just, you know,
Yeah.
coffee and a place to sit while you have your coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was in our open adults one too, where it seemed to be trying to.
There was the one guy who was very. But his coffee cup was a plant. He came in with
Was a
with the
plant?
coffee and I'm like, did he do that as a prop? But they had a funny rapport with each other, our group, like when he
Yeah.
was like, no, hear me out, and like everyone kind of laughed. So like
Yeah.
our group built like a kind of a rapport, which was nice.
Even though we had one or two grumpy guests, but you know.
Grumpy?
And then the guy right across from me was like,
No.
I told Tim cafe would never work. So I had like a dynamic of.
Yeah.
Is that true? It's just the concept we had, like everyone said like the concept was like maybe not the right fit, but something more simple, like simple baked goods, coffee, like treats, like that kind of thing, like. Did somebody mention, or am I like projecting, but did somebody mention having it like somebody mentioned linking it to like BOCES or like some.
Yes.
Right, okay, I didn't make that up.
Yes.
Cause I was like, it is an idea I have had
Having,
in
like,
said, but I wanted to
incubator.
make sure I didn't like
Yeah.
imagine that coming from a group where they're like tied to like a work experience thing or like teens or like whatever, and like have them do like pop-up cafes or something like that where it's like, you know, not necessarily tied to revenue or a business. It's more like this is also functional where it's giving people that like either special needs or teens or whatever, like some sort of.
That's what they
Work
mentioned. They mentioned the ARC.
Oh,
That
okay.
was it. They mentioned having the ARC do
ARC, okay, no, I remember BOCES.
some kind of way to just, yeah, give them experience and
Yeah, which, yeah, I've heard that idea before, so.
Did you have any other takeaways from that one besides what Alicia had mentioned?
A lot for adult programming. And I actually spoke to Christina about it a little too. They wanted more art talks and things for, I think it's an interesting age range because I think it's people who what one person said was, I don't want to be on screen. I don't want to be on camera. I want to have my glass of wine and no one gets to see my face, but I want to hear about art.
Mhm.
So that idea of a virtual, where they don't have to come here necessarily, or there were people who said, or we could come here and we could watch together, but they don't have to, it's not necessarily tied to a person coming.
Yeah, and the one lady who had worked here previously, I wouldn't call her a grump, but she was like, I'm just kind of disappointed that a lot of the programming's moved away from more like, not intellectual, but more like learning things, and it's now more like crafts. She's like, it's a library, like it's not a crafts place, she's like, some of that's fine, but she's like, there's a movement away from like things that you learn from, and I was like, okay. But she kept comparing to how it used to be, but I haven't been here that long.
Let's
so I don't
argue
know.
that you learn something from a craft work
You
as well.
can, or yeah,
Yeah.
but I guess, I don't know. It's not like I could like, I'm not
Yeah.
countering with her, and I was like, okay, I'm just,
Well, it's classroom style. It's like learning something in a lecture versus learning how to do something with your hands. They're both
Yeah.
learning, but they're different.
There was one thing that came up in both of the sessions that I did, I just thought it was interesting that it was the exact same suggestion that came up both of them. It was about the virtual author talks. And they wanted to have something here in the library, like just have like a room where.
Like a watch party?
A watch party,
Okay.
because they wanted to be able to discuss it with other people after it was over.
Oh,
So the exact same suggestion came up in both of the groups I was in. Both of them were like, oh, I like the virtual author talks, but then there's nobody to talk to after. They should have them here at the library so we can do it. Even if it's virtual, we can just do it here at the library. I thought that was very interesting because it seemed like that's probably not that heavy of a lift. And it seems like there was interest in both of the groups, so.
yeah,
That was,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good.
okay.
What else jumped out? Like what were big?
I think what are.
For ours, we had some people who were very, very opinionated. I left the notes deliberately like that so you could see the patrons who stopped talking. Because the other people,
And this is in the one that you did with Mike?
yes,
Yeah.
we had people who were
And-
pretty strong
Yeah.
in their voices.
So they kind of railroaded the other folks.
Oh,
Yeah, maybe I could have done better to kind of redirect more or whatever, but there was a couple people who wanted to jump in after every.
Mhm.
See, I hadn't intended to do it, but I ended up just going round robin like this, so everyone could answer.
Yeah.
And sometimes the answer was like, I don't have a good answer for this, but I was like, hey, at least check off like they got a chance to like weigh in, but we did that.
and there was someone who came into ours, they came in late, and the first question says, tell us your name and your fondest memory of the library. And the comment was, this is my name, and I'm here because the library needs to promote more literacy. And it was not, like, they were already here with what they wanted to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that was
Yeah.
where we kind of went.
Well, she wasn't the only one.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think we expected that would happen, that some people would come in with I'm just glancing through the notes from you and I like, one of the highlighted things is get the heck off Western
Yeah.
Avenue.
Yeah.
Go where? Where do they want us?
Really? Because I mostly hear people happy that it's like here now because they're like, oh, it's like kind of a central area.
Our group spent a lot of time talking about like business and actually the group you and I did, they talked about also the commercialization of Guilderland and how it's dividing the town and then it's
Mhm.
making traffic awful and they're kind of like, how are we gonna get here? And they're really concerned about that.
Mhm.
So our group was talking about that a little.
There was an accessibility thing that came up at one point where they said it's hard to walk here
Yeah.
And the turning left.
in the,
The turn-
oh my God,
yeah.
we talked about that turn for
We
a
had
while.
A bunch of discussions, about the left turn, but also just about transportation in Gilboa and about.
Yeah, because there's some
That
bus that got canceled from
came up in-
Stuyvesant.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was
That came up
discussion of having like a bus or shuttle,
Yep.
like in, and
Yep.
then better sidewalks and other stuff like
I
that.
feel like the transportation thing though, it seems, it came up in both of the sessions that I was at. It came up in yours,
on
like,
ours.
I
They
feel
said the
like
same thing in the shuttle. They're like, can you guys get a shuttle? And I'm like,
in the one, the open session or adult session that Christina and I did, there seemed to be this like push for like, how do we get the seniors? Can there be a a shuttle from the senior center? Oh no, you guys are laughing.
We did, you did call them up because they, pre-renovation, maybe a couple years before that, a shuttle did come here. And then what did they basically said nobody was using it and they have now stretched their resources so thin with other obligations that they would not be able to add us back on this route. And then in our group, they talked about can CDTA do it, and another user was shut it right down and was like, CDTA is not gonna
Yeah,
work with you.
and that
That
came up in the one that we did with the community leaders too.
Where it was just, I don't wanna say it was like a complete non-starter, but they were very realistic with like CDTA doesn't have any money. They're not
Yeah.
adding anything.
Right, they said now that they're reducing routes, they're not gonna add on.
Yeah.
You know.
But no, the question about the sidewalks, the bike lanes, more parks, like that came up a lot where it's just like, yeah, it's Gilderland's gathering place. How do we get to it?
Mhm.
You know?
I feel like if, and maybe because we asked if, like, what should the town do? Or like, what do you need in the town? But like, reading all the notes, I was like, there was a lot of critique of like how people feel. I'm summarizing maybe how people feel, but like, it seems like people don't feel this town is giving them what they need in terms of like building, like feeling comfortable or a place or getting around in the town.
But we got a Costco. I am not as somebody who drives down
Yeah.
Western every day.
If they build a subway, that'd be great. Like, you know, to get us around town.
a mini subway.
Yeah. Probably something.
Also, almost every meeting, I think, said like you are the center, like the,
Yeah.
the center of the town.
Yeah, that
Everybody
definitely came
was
out.
on that same page.
I will say, like, in reading through all these notes, I feel like, people had suggestions, changes, things, but I mean, it did make me feel really positive about how the community feels about the library in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were there other big things that jumped out at you all in doing this? Like things that we just kept hitting on?
Well, I think once the mom brought up that like, or offering the same program multiple times so that there's like options, like if there's a day option, maybe a later evening or a weekend or something, and like weekend programming and stuff like that. Once she kind of brought that up, it started coming up multiple times when other questions were asked, and then they're like, no, that was a good point. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, yes, I agree. Where, like, it'd be nice to see the same program offered multiple times, because if I can't make it, then I'd like to try another time, and have some options. Or like, definitely having, that came up, it started like snowballing after she brought it up the first time, and then more questions were asked, and people were like, yeah, no, that's probably the most important.
So,
There was some discussion of, book sales, having.
Yeah, book sale.
So,
that didn't come up in either.
It came up in ours, but it was more because she said, oh, my husband would be here more often if the Saturday book sales came back, because that was his thing.
Did
But
Ray show up to any of the groups?
not ours,
no,
no.
So we're just kind of talking through like what
Maybe he might
big
have been ours.
themes came up?
No,
Like, is
he
there
was not.
anything in particular you feel, because you did the seniors group, correct?
Right,
Is there anything that jumped out at you from that one, Bill?
Seniors really like the idea of a library as being a place of connection, human connection, with a lot of dialogue, opportunity for dialogue with other people. That seems to be one really big thing. And then connection in the point of easier to get to, or more broadly accessible
Yeah.
by bus route and sidewalks and bicycles and things of that nature.
If Abhishek Sahu is in the library, could you please come to the circulation desk? Abhishek Sahu, thank you.
They liked tangible books and wandering in shelves, but they also like being able to digitally access the many things you can digitally access. The one thing I think that was curbed them the most and sort of got it fairly across the 4 people was the long wait list for high demand, popular books. And could there be some solution provided by the library to solve that, such as just collecting, seeing if people will donate those types of books and them being, sort of like less quality of a book than a library book, in other words, with a RFID, you don't need to do all that stuff in it. It's just got to be, accessible. So, but, the long wait list for more modern recent books, something that they were all against. And all of them seem to want to have a cup of coffee with their books. They didn't really care. They're open to a lot of different options on it, but nothing, they didn't really have any solutions to the issue that we've presented here. So, yeah, and then in terms of like the room that if you could magically, the idea that came out was a creator space that's not only technology, but also arts and crafts and access to a 3D printer. So those were I think the ideas. Mike,
Yeah, that was like a makerspace type thing. That was one of the things that came up. I'm trying to think back. Because that's what came up first. Somebody said like a maker's space.
it was further with the technology.
But then somebody else wanted like an art studio.
Art and crafts.
Yeah.
So it was, things you do with your
Yeah.
hands. Someplace with a sink, they said.
Sink.
So you
We got things. Check that one off the list. We got a couple of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had the smaller, the parents group, which I think as part, like, once this process is over, we should continue to try to get parents to talk to us, because we'll get a ton of them at story time. It's just hard to get them to come back again. But yes, a sense of place, a sense of like getting away from technology and like letting kids develop without stuff came up a lot. And then that came up in the local leaders group too, which was people talking about like, put your phone down, connect with other humans. How do we regain our sense of community? Like, that was a recurring theme that the library could be the answer to that.
That reminds me of something that came up that they liked was like that we continue to solicit like continuous like feedback from the community and not just aligned with just the long range plan, like a pulse survey or temp check kind of a thing. So
Yeah, because I mean, the feedback we got from the parents group was really interesting about like how we use our space and how we do story times and how we use the meadow. I would love to hear from like 30 or 40 parents about that, because they had good insight.
The people in particular, not necessarily, I mean, the community leaders were fine about this too, but in Christina and I, they seemed grateful for the most part to get to like sit down and talk to somebody connected with the library and share their thoughts. They were like happy to have been able to participate. I don't know if others heard.
yeah, they were super.
Yeah.
All effusive, and you should do this more often.
So-
We're gonna do this again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is maybe something for Pete, Christine, and like, if, yeah, I mean, if we can think about, even if it's not specifically for the long range plan, but like these listening sessions with the community, just to make them feel heard.
Just have some snacks and people show up and chit chat.
Another comment from mine and Mike's was about the shelves being too high and too low. And one
And
person
too
said in
low.
the original blueprints was you were supposed to be able to see from Cirque to the information desk.
Yeah.
That was supposed to be like a clear line of vision of sight. But they were like, the shelves are too high, I can't reach. And they're on the bottom, books are on bottom shelves, and that's harder too.
We had complaints about books too low, books too high. Books need to be right in the middle.
I mean, that's a, yeah, like a universal library complaint, is those are always the hardest.
I complained about it at home in my life.
It was like, for one person who said that, other people were like, but it's so warm and welcoming when you come here. So it was like, oh, but it's not the same. I remember when everyone was standing there, but now, but still, everybody's still here. So it was like, not necessarily negative, it was just kind of balanced out.
We had, in ours, some people didn't like the entry.
Yeah.
You know, they were saying when you first walk in the entry, they said, when you come in here into the, you know, the library part, they thought that was very welcoming and you see the books and it's nice. But they said when you walk in the front door, they didn't really like it.
Yeah.
I-
It was, they said one person described it as utilitarian.
Yeah, I remember that comment.
And,
Like when you come in the front.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
The lobby.
Yeah.
sort of-
They-
is that-
they-
We got a cow pasture in it.
It's more like, you know, the first person was fairly, straightforward, describing it utility. Everybody else seemed to back him away from that, saying, well, you know, it's not so bad. You walk in, you take a wrong turn, you go to the display cases and you see something you weren't
Mhm.
expecting. You know, another person said, you know, you walk in, you know, as Mike said, you know, and you see the whole thing, it's all lays out all pretty well, so. Yeah, in terms of, you know, you know, something, what's most important to you? You know, big one was a left turn lane.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Stoplight.
For two reasons. Number one is, you know,
Yeah, they did say
be
so.
able to safely get out of Western Ave, but then the other one is you want to make a right turn and the guy in front of you wants to make a left turn.
Yes.
And you're
you sit
waiting
there
and
forever.
waiting and waiting and waiting, and so there's just gotta be something to do to
Mhm.
siphon that left turn off so you can make your right turn and get out of here, but, it's just sort of like that, it's just a major.
And the lack of road care down Mercy Care around with no lighting.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah, they
And all-
did bring up that road being.
If that was better, it would be more
Mhm.
utilized.
Yeah, because they said that and basically the condition of the road is terrible and then also the visibility to make the left turn
Yeah,
out of there is not great either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, it's not
On Winding Brook, yeah,
Right,
once everything grows, you can't see.
not a great alternative. So, you know, you don't want to take a left here and then you got to do that. That's not great either. So.
Okay. My plan, I just have to have her have a little bit of free time, is to ask my colleague Amanda, who did our first analyses on this, to run these through the same program, if you guys are okay with that. So she did the analyses on the survey results that got us that more concise, like, so I'm gonna have her do that with these, if she is able to as well, if you guys are okay with that,
Yeah.
to kind of get us some aggregated information. However, anybody else that wants to manually go through and code this, feel
I was
free.
just gonna ask, is there, somebody that's any good or having experience with ChatGPT?
I was actually thinking of doing that and I'd be happy to just upload them all and have it do its own analysis and.
Don't you have to like raise some questions to ChatGPT?
You can do it in a lot of different ways, but I
Yeah.
mean, you can also, I mean, you could, there's, you know, Google has the Notebook LM, which you can put like things like this into it and it'll convert it into a video presentation for you. That'll just give you
It's
like.
really too spooky, but,
Well,
They can go find-
give it a shot, give it a shot
Yeah,
and see.
we can watch a little video as it
Yeah,
narrates.
that would be great.
I mean, I have no problem with that. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
essentially what we have is,
If you want to have
It's
your
a
friends
private
do it, and then we have
that-
ChatGPT and we'll just see.
I'm happy to throw it in and I can, you know, try a couple different, you know,
Yeah,
prompts and
queries.
see what I see, you know, what I get out of it.
In addition to you running it through the software.
yeah,
and then
well,
we can-
yeah, I'll still have Amanda run it through when she's, our main survey just closed, so she's dealing with that. But as soon as, but she should be, like, have some time later this month. So, yeah. But no, I mean, we can try multiple angles. We all hopefully know, as either information professionals or board members here, that ChatGPT messes up a lot, but, won't hurt anything to give it a try. Okay, so that's the plan on what we're gonna do with the results. Then my next question is, our next steps are figuring out and locking down the staff focus groups. We kind of focused on this. And so I think Chris has said that he will do like 2 or 3 staff focus sessions, whatever we need. He's willing to help support it. But I don't know that the questions that were asked on, and Pete and I did, if you read Pete's report from the community leaders one, we did tweak the questions, 2 of the questions for them, just because to make it more relevant, but these questions are the best questions to ask the staff or not, or if there's something else we want to get at with the staff questions.
Yeah, so I guess, do we want? I mean, I assume the staff, I mean, some of the staff are, you know, patrons as well,
Mhm.
live in the town and whatever, right? So, you know, they'll have a perspective there, but I assume, you know, they're also just from dealing with patrons and, you know, hearing questions people ask and things like that for the front-facing staff, you know, the public-facing staff will have some insight, you know, from that end. But, you know, I guess the question is, how, do we want to have questions that more focus on the staff experience, you know, like separately, you know, like what are things, you know, that would make this a better workplace, you know, that would make this a better, what would you as an employee like to see? Or are we more focused on the bigger picture of the services provided in the community, you know, how we, for patrons or whatever? So that's, I'm not sure.
I think there's room for questions about like, for example, like if a room gets added to the library type of question, it's what's a service you'd like to provide to the community? I want to keep it very community and future of the library focused. I think if we go down the path of what makes this better for you, we can't even compare it to the previous
Yeah, yeah.
focus groups. It would be too different.
And I think some of that would be very interesting for us as a whole to have, but also probably not in relation to the long range plan.
Right.
Because we probably aren't going to make a goal that's like, make all the staff happy is one of our goals. I mean, even though that would be wonderful, but like, I don't, you know.
Yeah.
But I think reaching out to them and in a professional sense, I mean, like as professionals, what's the service you'd like to provide? What's something you'd like to do for the library? Like, you know, keeping it like, yes, it's about them as an individual, but it's like in the context of the community, like keeping that focus.
So how do we want to start down this path? Do we want to look at our current questions and alter them for the staff, or do we want to start completely fresh?
I would like to suggest looking at the questions that we asked to the groups and then see how many of them are not applicable.
Okay.
See if there are ones that are just like this, you know, it's not going to give you a good answer or what have you.
So our first question was, what is your fondest memory of the library? Of a library?
Relevant.
That's kind of an icebreaker question too, just to get that thing going. So I don't.
To get them out of this library and to another broader library.
Mhm.
Like, you know, what was it about that you really liked, and it sort of helps compare this to that.
The second question is, what is the feeling you get when you walk into GPL? That might be very varied, but it
Yeah.
could be good. I mean, we have 3 folks that work here. I don't know how you feel about asking the staff about that.
I mean, it's, if you're having a bad day, you're gonna walk in and be like, I get a feeling of grumpiness because I don't like working here or whatever, you know, but yeah, I think it's fairly applicable. I'm curious.
What do we want to know?
It's a lot different because it's different when you're walking into your workplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll get a lot of usable answers from that.
I like my workplace, but I'm grumpy when I come in here most
But
mornings.
I think the fondest, like, memory of a library is probably more pertinent.
Okay.
Why do you
know
say,
about
what
the-
do you think the feeling of the patrons is when they walk in here? You know, I have them stand in the shoes of people looking at them.
Or you can ask, I'm thinking like marketing questions, like what's the library's persona? Like if the library were a person, what's that personality?
Something like that.
Yeah, like that.
Because you can get some interesting answers, like it could be like,
That's
like a loving grandma or whatever. So it kind of gives you interesting perceptions. So it kind of will suss out how they feel about the library. They're like a curmudgeon-y old man, and then you're like, I don't think you like it here, maybe. But
That's a good.
I think it's interesting, yeah. So
is
If
my
we
favorite
feel
part
this
about marketing is
person-
coming up with a
what type of person would they be?
Yeah, yeah. What's the library's personality, basically?
Okay. And that might be a good alternative that kind of gets it a similar feeling to what we were
Yeah.
trying to get from the community.
Yeah, it helped.
Thanks,
You're welcome.
Thanks, Bill, for tipping it off that way.
Yeah.
Question 3 was, as a Guilderland resident, what is one thing you need from this community that would make your life better?
Many of them
that's-
are not Guilderland
Yeah.
residents. So it could be something like, what's something the town of Guilderland could do to make the library better?
Or what's missing from the community?
No.
Is there anything missing from? No? Okay.
Well, I think you can go in two different directions. It could be like, from a staff's opinion, what could the community provide that would make the whole thing better? Or it could be like,
Because I'm sure they get feedback from patrons, like, I wish you guys had this, like, they're getting yapped at all day, so I'm sure they're hearing things anyway.
the other direction it could go is like, what is one thing the library could do to make your job better? Like, if we're asking patrons about their life because they live here, our life here is, I'm thinking like our life here is like as staff, so it's like, what could the library do that like makes your job something, not better, but like, I don't know.
I'd sort of like them to be focused on the library's place in the community and their view of the library's place in the community, which is sort of what that.
Was the
question
first
is.
question.
So it takes them out of this, it sort of puts it into a broader context.
Is there, I mean, I would be interested to know what they think the role of the library in the community is. I mean, you're gonna get a lot of interesting answers on
What are,
that.
you know, something like, how do you think the library fits into the broader community or something? I don't know.
Yeah, or just like, even like how you said, what's the library's role in the community?
Mhm.
I think that's straightforward enough.
And I think it'd be interesting to know because it could be, like, we get a lot of answers from community members who are like, oh, you're Guilderland's gathering place. The answer from staff might be like, we provide information. Like it's,
Hmm.
you know, it'd be interesting to know if or they might line up and be like, no, we are the community center. Now we have alignment.
How many of the employees are not?
I think the vast majority, I
are
feel
not
like.
Guilderland residents?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a handful of us.
Really?
Yeah.
So my thought on this, and I'm okay with however we land, because I think any question about sort of role within the community is fine. What we were trying to get at with the community survey or focus groups was like, what do we need from this community? Like, what do I as a person need from this community? So I don't know if we want to get the same feel from the staff or not.
And in hindsight, 'cause I'm rereading the questions, question 5 is what is the most vital role?
Well, and that's why I like flipped forward, because I was like, it's a little bit in the same vein.
Mhm.
We can have just one question less, like, we don't have to have a 1-for-1, I don't think. There's not additional information we're trying to get.
I mean, yeah, I mean, you're right. We can, do we want to revisit it, come back to it?
Yeah, why don't we,
Yeah.
Okay.
maybe some more questions, we can come back and see if it's redundant or.
4, we want to ask that one straightforward, or imagine another room has appeared in the library. What is it for? What was the proposed language that we,
I like that,
I-
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah.
oh,
I
okay,
think that works.
okay.
But they might say, you know, we need more storage space or something like that for the library.
They wouldn't be wrong.
That's a
I
valid
mean,
answer.
Is that what we want out of it, or is that what we're looking for?
Could be.
If there was another room that could serve the community in the library, what would it be for? Something that.
I mean, if 30 staff say storage, then it might be really
Everybody said, I need one.
important,
Yeah.
you know, versus like.
If we want to,
patrons who don't
get
have-
something that's more comparable to what we got, then we could say, another room for patrons or something like that,
It's just gotta be, I think it's gotta be,
or
it makes sense.
another room for library, I don't know. I don't know how to say it, but yeah, we could somehow
Just
clarify.
make it a 2-part one, have them answer both.
Or just see what they say.
We can,
More information's never bad.
I mean, I think we don't do a lot of 2-part questions, but we could like see what they say and then if it comes back, and everyone comes back with something very staff focused, staff bathroom, storage, et cetera, we could be like, okay, thank you for all of that. If it was only for public use, what would you say? I don't know if that makes the question seem disingenuous, but like, if what we're trying to get at is what community service. But to be fair, if the public had said, I think you should give your staff more room, we wouldn't have DQ'd that answer. We would have said that's valid.
Yeah.
I really think in order to view this, what community, basically the thrust of this is what community service are you offering? You're pretty like that's not offering. That's basically the real thrust of this. I don't know.
I mean, I personally like to know both, but
So
however we want to do that, two
mean,
separate
we-
questions, a
we-
two-parter.
could frame it something, how do we say, we said, you come in a new,
Imagine that another room has appeared in the library. What is it for?
because it could be, imagine a new room is open to the public, in the library, something like that, what would be for, and that kind of directs them toward, this is something that's.
The patron activity has appeared in that created.
Michelle and Christina, do you feel like you have perspective on, do you think, in your own opinions, are the staff more likely to answer it as though it's a public space, even if that's not in there, or are they most likely to?
I think if it's very open, they might think of it as like a, what do I need as a staff person?
Okay.
And the debate in my head right now is like, they might still say a storage closet, but then they might say because that will then free up another space for patron. Like it still might get
Yeah.
there, but if we just want to know about public facing, like what is the staff hearing that the patrons need? So therefore, what would they add on to the library? I think it does need to be specific and say like for services, for introducing a new service or a program or something, it needs to be like emphasize that it's for the public.
I agree. I think it's gonna be hard to separate the staff perspective of being a staff member here and thinking patron services, like Christina, that's gonna, without it implicitly saying it in suggestions.
Imagine that another room has appeared in the library for public use. I don't know how to get what is it for? Like, how do we?
We don't think it's bad, like you said, to have more information. We could say a room has appeared and literally ask for staff and for public and answer it, like to just tell them to answer it both ways so it covers everything.
And that will also kind of help them feel like they're being heard and offering
Yeah.
ideas as well, like
Like if
kind
it's
of,
for staff, what is it? If it's for public?
yes. And that gives that a release there.
I don't have any issue with that.
Okay, going both ways on it.
Okay.
And that could like take three and make three, take out three, and four is just a two-parter.
Okay. Look at that. Next question, what do you see as the most vital role a library should play?
That's good.
What is one thing GPL could do better?
That's the one I'm the most nervous about. Not because of the critical feedback, but if everyone says we need to offer better health insurance, I don't think that's something that goes into a long-range plan. It's good to know, but it's,
But could a long-range plan include, like, I don't know, when budget time comes around, trying to earmark more funds for benefits? I don't know if it makes sense.
I feel like that's pretty granular for a
Okay.
long-range plan.
To serve the community, serve the patrons. Narrow it down and get it out of the.
Well,
benefits question.
maybe, but I mean, well, let's defer to our staff liaisons.
If they answered from a, yeah, like what could, like, you were thinking along those lines. And that made I can't talk. And something like that made its way into the plan. I could see it manifesting as like, GPL will be the most competitive library to work for in the whole capital region.
Yeah.
So that we offer the best people and the best services to our patrons. Like, if it went into a plan, I think that's
Uh-huh.
like the type of thing we'd end up saying.
Mhm.
As far as should
Kind of-
we,
The direction that's kind of what I was thinking. I just worded it really weird.
we are the most competitive.
Yeah.
We attract the best candidates.
Yeah.
For our community. No, is it fine as it stands? But I think you'll get just like the other question, if you leave it open, you'll get a variety of like, I'm thinking about services, but I'm also thinking about my employee life here.
And the other thing I'll say is that, like, that's all fine. Like, if people said to me specifically critical feedback about the library, that's fine. Typically, survey and focus group results live on in the document, so it will forever be into public record, that type of critical feedback. So I just offer that as a,
So for me, this all sits in the space of what do we want to do with this information? So whereas I think it's important that staff be able to share what they feel like GPL could do better, like, you know, to actually improve internally. That may fit into the plan, but more likely it's what could GPL do better for the community that's gonna fit into the plan. So I don't know.
So, you know, we framed it as, so how do we say it right now? What could? just
What is one thing GPL could do better?
So what if we said, what is one thing GPL could do to better serve patrons?
Or the community, like if we want to speak as a whole, like people that aren't in, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that distinction matters.
I don't know either.
Because most of us don't live, I say us,
Mhm.
don't live here. It's hard to gauge what can we do for the community, because this isn't where we live, this isn't where
Yeah.
we shop. This isn't, you know, we drive here.
So
and
patrons is actually the best.
patrons is, I think, a better
Hmm.
word for it, to say that.
You know, and we might get answers that are focused on, you know, things that aren't visible to the public. You know, it might be if we did this or that internally, you know, whatever, it would allow us to better, you know, provide this service to the public or whatever. So we might get a different type of answer, but, you know, serving the same, you know, a different type of answer than we got from the community who's looking at just from, you know, what the end product, what am I seeing or whatever.
Mhm.
And so we might get, you know, different perspective on it, but still going toward the same goal, I guess.
Yeah. This works for me, for the patrons. I think that that's valid points that everybody made. Pete, does that sort of help out kind of your
I
thinking,
think so.
your critical thinking on this?
Yeah.
Okay. Of all the things we talked about today, what is the most important to you?
Keep it.
Keep it. Yeah, there's no change.
Perfect. Is there anything else we should take into consideration as we plan for GPL's future?
Is that in line too?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
So what was the one that we were
Well, I
debating over?
think we didn't land on anything on 3. Michelle made a point that maybe if we're dividing 4 out into 2, that sort of takes it up. But the one we're skipping as of right now is, as a Guilderland resident, what is one thing you need from this community that would make your life better?
Yeah, I think maybe, we just drop that one and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions that Pete and I had adjusted on the community leaders one too. So it's a slightly different version of that.
Gotcha.
Um,
You were saying, do we have an idea of how many focus groups?
I think it's probably unrealistic to ask them to do, because we're asking for, am I remembering this correctly? We're asking for no one from this committee to be involved in the focus groups at all.
Correct.
So we're asking for 2 people from Upper Hudson. So I think it's probably unrealistic to ask for more than 2 or 3 at the very most.
Do you have a sense of like how many staff will want to participate in this?
So if we capped the sessions at 12, like I did the public, 2 sessions gets us to 24, 3 gets us to 36. 36 is most of the staff.
Yeah, I think there's quite a disproportionate number, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think we need that many.
Right, and I mean, this is like not to disqualify anyone, but like if we wanted to leave it for like the public service staff and like prioritize them. And, you know, because in theory, like we want admin and leadership to attend too, but they don't need the venue as much, I think, as our public service and frontline staff do. So if we do 2 and that's 24, it's a pretty good ratio.
If we're prioritizing CCS and PPS.
And your nighttime would be smaller. It would have to be, I don't know how we could adjust for the staff who are at night.
Yeah, like folks are
Especially-
4 to 8.
Yes, the 4 to 8, that kind of.
If we did one from 4 to 5, we could get the people who come in at 4 and the people who are closing or who were here in the morning could still be here to cover the desks. So like mid-afternoon, early evening.
Might just come in at 4.
Yeah.
That would work.
So have one during the day and one from 4 to 5:30?
Yeah, do we have anyone who only works like before noon? Or if people come in at 9, they're usually here till 5.
Yeah.
So yeah, mid-afternoon and 4 to 5, I think.
In our.
How many
For
people
sure,
will be
there
in
might-
each session?
If we cap it at 12,
That's how many people we've had in the other sessions?
We had 10 in ours.
How many?
Ours was the
We had
highest
8 in ours and that was a lot.
We had
Like,
6, yeah.
We have 4 in ours for senior.
And then it increased, it was like 2,
Yeah.
Four,
Our community leaders, how many?
8, 10.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
We literally 2, 4, 6, 8, 10.
we only had 4 show and then for the next one I did, we had 8 signed up and we had all 8. So.
Yeah.
I
I thought the good thing about having Upper Hudson as opposed to us is we are not all seasoned moderators and that's their job, is to do things like this. So I think they'll probably
Yeah,
be better at guiding people along. And I think they'll be okay. I think they'll be okay with 12. I really do. I mean, our 10 was a lot, but people got a chance to speak when they wanted to speak. 2 down here, but I think that they just sort of bowed out.
Could have, but I.
They could have, and I
There
specifically
was
said
space for them
anybody
to
that
speak
hasn't
if they
shared.
wanted.
Yes,
Made
exactly.
space for them,
So I'm not worried about 12 probably being too many for them to handle.
Not that the handle is, I just think, you know, what's the aggregate of all the people we interviewed and versus 24, what's the percentage of that? How many voices, what's the percentage of the voice that's getting projected into this thing?
Oh,
exactly.
So
But it-
I just feel that 12 is just, you know, from one group that has a very, you know, different view, I think, or, you
well,
know,
but I think we can weight how much we take out of the staff versus the community ones as well.
what was it? What were the sizes? You know, we had 4, 8.
This one has 4.
Local leaders had 8.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, I think. Except without the counting them.
I think they should be similar in size to the groups that we met, so something along that. To me, that's just the way I feel from, you know, weighting. I don't know how you're gonna weight it, when you get done, but it just feels like you're gonna have a disproportionate.
But we left these open for up to 12 people to sign up for
Yeah.
too. This is just the only community members that signed up. So none of these actually closed registration.
Yeah, I know, but, you know, you're doing this and, you know, after that, so, I know it was open to more people, but that's the participation that you got, and
I don't know. I just think when we're looking at this, when we're trying to put it together, we're gonna kind of be saying, okay, well, this is what we got from the public and this is what we got from staff, and they're kind of, you know, 2 baskets. You know, I don't think just because, well, more people total said this was important, but they all came from the staff, I don't think we're, you know, I think we can take that into account when we're doing it. I don't know, but.
It's not, boy, do I want to say this won't be recorded. It's not a democracy. You know, like it's collecting feedback.
I would just feel more comfortable with 8. That's consistent with the larger sizes of the community. So it should be fortunate with them, so that the voices, they got two sessions of their voice and 8 people. And each one of those is, still the outsized largest group that's in the pool. So that's just how I feel about it. You know, we have the hindsight of knowing what we had participation from the public. So I think we need to calibrate. I don't think it'll be as easy to calibrate, you know, or pick and choose if, you know, I don't know. I mean, you say it's not
not
democracy
democracy.
can work several different ways in that context, but
Right.
I just think that we should It should be,
I mean, do you anticipate, do you think that there's gonna, like, these are gonna fill up, there's enough staff that are gonna wanna give their input that we're gonna,
I don't know.
I think near, if not full. What do you think? If we offered 12 spots?
I think if we offer, I think it's gonna come down to when it is and their availability and whether or not they can come and get paid or not for that
Part of their shift.
part of their shift, because not everyone works on a Tuesday night. Especially when you're talking the evening staff. It's not always that staff. So I think that's going to be the part that's gonna come into play.
I'm approaching this from a lens of, and I totally understand what you're saying. I'm approaching it from a lens of inclusivity. And we invited the community broadly to participate, and that was how many people took advantage. I also want to be very inclusive of our staff and give as many an opportunity to speak as want to. So I would rather have it be more spots. I would rather have a slot available for every staff member, even though we only got to speak to 50 community members, because I think us hearing their voices matters a lot for the sense of validation as library employees.
Especially if we're prioritizing the folks who are not typically at the table when these decisions are made, this might be their only opportunity to talk about the future of the library.
I'm not gonna take a, give me a liberty or give me.
I mean, if people want to advocate for a smaller number, I'm okay with that. It's just my thinking on it.
I mean,
Given the opportunity.
yeah, I just look at it from Upper Hudson's perspective of having the focus groups that we asked them to do. So I think it's 2 or 3. So it's 24 or 36 slots. And if we did do 3 and if they didn't fill up, we could open it to administrative staff, because I'm sure they want to talk about their favorite memories too, but.
Let me follow up with Chris and see where he stands, and they may say, we won't do it if it's more than 10, like they may have some sort of delineation on this as well, but. So our next steps are to do some evaluation of the current ones that we have and to schedule these with the staff. Hopefully within the, I feel like staff, do you feel like staff need a lot of lead time for this? Is a couple of weeks of lead time good enough?
Couple weeks, yeah.
Okay,
I think we're fine.
okay.
You want me to do what I did for these and look at I can look at room availability and then send that to Chris.
Yeah.
Do we want
What
to
date should I start looking?
put them in Helderberg?
Probably,
See, or Normanskill.
yeah,
What do you
I
think?
think so.
Is like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday jump out to me as days when the most staff are here, because Monday and Friday are usually past days.
What week should I start?
Well, if we give it 2 weeks, that puts us almost up against Thanksgiving. Oh, no. I had that wrong.
I
Maybe
think the
19, 20.
week of 17 would be 2 weeks from now, but then we get interrupted, but I mean, I don't just,
Well,
Is
it
that
depends
better?
on what Upper Hudson is available. If they're like, we can only do Mondays, then
So-
Monday it has to be.
I mean, I can also just reach out to Chris and say, when are you available on the week of the 17th to do this? And how many are you willing to do? And who's coming with you? And circle back to you and find out if there's room available,
Mhm.
So it's we're looking at the week of November 17th.
Yes.
Okay.
And-
If for some reason there's not really availability that week, then I probably will just follow back up and say, ask for the week after Thanksgiving as an alternative.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, this might be a dumb question, but if staff want to participate and they're not working that day, are we saying we will pay you to come in, or is it you're on your own time? Because I was thinking for staff who are working, they would just take a break off the floor
Mhm.
and do the focus group. But if it's on a Wednesday and somebody's like, I only work Mondays.
leave it up to if the DH can spare them and we can maybe do, if it was their day off, but they're like, I really, really want to come, it's possible we could do like a flex thing. Where you come like the hour and then you have to leave an hour
Yeah,
early another day, so it's not over.
yeah. If you think that's doable, like it's potential for
For our
24
department.
hours of chaos across a pay period.
I can't speak to CCS, but I think for our department,
Yeah. I would just say, if it was up to me, I would just say, yeah, come in for that hour, hour and a half, and then just make sure you come in later, leave early one day, not on the desk.
Is that, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah,
arrangement?
no, I'm actually, I'm more comfortable with that.
Okay,
Thank
yeah,
you.
no,
Yeah,
that seems
sounds
easier
great.
than worrying about, yeah.
It's fair, because if the people were already here getting paid for it.
Mhm.
Right.
and that's. And then have snacks and water.
What other
No
things,
coffee.
do we have anything else that we need to put in for next steps right now?
Might be the cart ahead of the horse. I've started pulling, so I've taken 3 years of our statistical data that we report every month and put it all in one place so I can start charting it. Focus group's great, but I do want to have the data available when we actually start writing the plan to be like, and this is what our life has been like for the
Yeah.
past 3 years.
Awesome.
So that's thought one. And then thought two, what's our timeline look like? Because this has all been very fun, but the step is coming where we have to write it.
So we will,
GPT.
Yeah, that's right, that's all.
I probably made my push already for a 1 or 2 page document as well, but, I think, and if it's done earlier, great, but ultimately we want to have it approved so that it would be approved for the annual meeting. If it's done before then, we can approve it earlier than then.
Like the annual meeting that happens in the summer?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's lots of time.
So there's,
A lot of writing.
Other
I'm just saying, that is our drop dead.
Yeah.
We are going to have this done.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think realistically, if we're done with our focus groups, we're dropping all this in, Pete can give us the stats as we start writing it, so we can create reasonable metrics. If we're gonna include metrics in there, then we're looking at like maybe March.
I'm hoping.
Yeah. That sounds great. I was worried you were gonna say January 1st.
I do think I'm a realist at the end of it, so, okay. Thank you, guys. Mike, I look forward to the video that's gonna tell us all about it.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I should be able to do that soon. I'll send it around because
Is it gonna create a wolf emoji that's gonna come out and be like, we're going to
Hi,
this place?
going.
nice little animation.